Comparison of Mac operating system, Windows operating system and Linux operating system. An operating system is a software that manages computer hardware and software resources and provides common services for computer programs. It is an interface. It is an interface between the hardware as well as the user. The operating system is an essential component of the system software in a computer system, and application programs usually require an operating system to function. Though it has its own program, it requires an operating system to function. In simple language, we can say that an operating system is a piece of software that is needed to run the programs on a computer or a mobile device. There are various operating systems in today's world. Mac operating system that is developed by Apple, the Windows is developed by Microsoft Corporation, and the Linux by community. Mac operating system is a series of graphical user interface based operating system, and this was developed by Apple International for their Macintosh line of computer systems. Mac operating system was actually designed only to run on Apple computers, and in 1984 Apple introduced the Macintosh PCs with the Macintosh operating system. The name Mac operating system came in beginning of 1997. Previously it was known as System. Mac operating system is a two-layered system, and the attractive graphical user interface, it's mainly derived from the Unix core, and Unix is best known for its security features. It's simply impossible to install a destructive Trojan or virus unless the user explicitly allows it root access via typing in the admin password. Mac operating system built-in firewall is set up to work unobtrusively out of the box as well as being highly configurable. Mac operating system users should be vigilant about strange files and never allow an application they aren't certain of admin access. But they don't need special antivirus software, because only when you give admin access, then only a virus can enter your your computer. So you don't need an antivirus, which is a characteristic feature and an advantage of Mac. Reliability also, because Mac operating system was designed from scratch, from the ground up. Mac operating system is incredibly stable. And Apple controls production from start to finish, so every part of a Mac is designed and tested to work. Like the operating system's reliability, the operating system's functionality is designed to just work a well-designed screen. And advanced users have easy command line access with the terminal. A Mac operating system, it automatically recognizes and works with any other Apple products such as iPhone, Cinema Display, AirPort, and iPad. On top of this, additional drivers are rarely needed for non-Apple products. And one of the main disadvantage of this Mac operating system is its cost. The cost, because it works with Macintosh PCs as well as Apple products, the cost of this Mac operating system is high. It is bit expensive, so people it is bit expensive and not that friendly like the Windows. So people mostly prefer Windows over Mac operating system. And most of the application softwares are designed keeping in mind Windows. This again is a drawback for Mac operating system as well as Linux operating system. Windows operating system, it was developed by Microsoft to overcome the limitation of its own Microsoft Disk operating system. And this first successful version was Windows 3 released in 1990. Subsequently, other versions like 95, 98, 2000, XP Professional came, then Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10 that is being launched by Microsoft. The operating system window is the extension of the disk operating system, or the DOS, that worked on the command. Commands were required for working the DOS, whereas Windows is a GUI. The three operating systems that I will be talking today, the Linux, the Mac, as well as the Windows, these three are a type of GUI, which means graphical user interface. Graphical user interface means once you click on an image, you are able to open the file. You are able to open based on that graphical picture. That is why it is known as GUI, which is represented by the letter GUI. The earlier one, the disk operating system, it was mainly based on commands. You need to type the commands, and based on these commands the system used to run. And one of the most advantage of these three graphical user ones is that actually these three operating systems, they are actually multitasking is, you can open a Word file, you can open an Excel sheet, you can open an internet, whereas in DOS you can give only one command, and it is a single task. Only single task is taken up by the operating system, and the computer performs only single task. It's the most popular and simplest operating system. It can be used by any person who can read and understand basic English. That's the most advantage that Windows has over Unix and Mac, is that Linux and Mac, is that it can be used by a layman. Based on the graphical icons that are present, any person can use these Windows operating system. The Windows operating system requires DOS to run the various application programs initially, and because of this reason, the disk operating system should be installed into the memory, and then window can be and elements of Windows operating system, its graphical user interface. Then icons are there, pictures, documents, application, program icons, etc. Taskbar is there. You have a start button, Windows Explorer is there, mouse button is there, hardware compatibility is there, software compatibility is there, help is there, and above all, auto correction is there. Whenever you click a wrong icon, or you click somewhere which is not that important, then automatically Windows gives you direction that what you have done is wrong. That auto correction is one of the advantages of Windows over DOS as well as Unix. Easy to use, performance monitor is there, file management, plug and play based on MS-DOS, and Windows is easy to use as compared to other operating systems in the modern era. Therefore, Windows is most popular operating system in the world. Nearly 80% of population uses Windows when compared to other operating system, and Windows gives you an advantage of checking the performance of your PC. That is what I told. There is auto correction, there is performance, whether memory is there, how your PC is working, all these things that you can check. Windows manages your files automatically into a specific location on the basis of type of the file. Example, images were automatically sent to picture folders, and Windows gives plug and play option to its user. There is no need to install the driver of any external peripheral device like web cameras, joysticks, data traveler devices, etc. Once you plug in, it asks you whether to play, autoplay, open the folder, like that. Numerous options come, and that is what is said. It is plug and play. and it is a Microsoft based DOS based operating system. And Microsoft Windows is a Windows operating system, means that every task we want to do is done in its own window. That is why it is known as Windows operating system. And every program or task has its own window in which that task. And the next one is Linux. Linux was originally built by Linus Torvalds at the University of Helsinki, and it was actually derived from Unix. And the predecessor of Linux is Unix, and it is also kernel based, full memory protected multitasking operating system. It is kernel based. What is kernel? Operating system is a system software, whereas kernel is part of operating system. Operating system acts as an interface between user and hardware, whereas kernel acts as an interface between applications. And kernel is a computer program that is the heart and core of an operating system, and Linux works on this kernel. Since operating system has control over the system, that is why you say that kernel also has control over everything in the system. It's the most important part of an operating system. Whenever a system starts, the kernel is the first program that is loaded after the bootloader, because the kernel has to handle the rest of the thing, the system, for the operating system. Kernel remains in the memory until the operating system is shut down, because it is the main component of operating. And the kernel is responsible for low-level tasks such as disk management, memory management, task management, etc. And it provides an interface between the user and the hardware components of the system. When a process makes a request to the kernel, then it is called system call. The system is actually asking the kernel to do the work, and kernel is provided with a protected kernel space, which is a separate area of memory, and this area is not accessible by other application programs, and this kernel controls the operating system. Linux is an open source operating system. Any programmer can modify it due to its need, or due to his need. According to his needs, he can modify the operating system. And free software, anyone can download it from web and install it on its PC, on your PC, because most of the softwares, they are costly. You need to pay for most of the softwares, your Kaspersky and all, you need to pay. Here there's no need to purchase that software. It is already present. It is made for Linux, as it is only compatible for Linux. It runs on a wide range of hardware from PCs to Macs. Any PC user can install Linux to its system. There is no specific requirement for installing it. Android, the most powerful operating system that we use in present day mobile, that is actually powered by the Linux operating system. And one of the advantage that Linux have over Windows is that since Windows is being largely used by nearly 80% people, they use Windows. So whenever a software is developed, it is developed keeping in mind Windows. It's the same whenever a virus or a hacker tries to program a new software. What he does is he keeps in mind Windows. So most of the hackers keep in mind Windows. It is also secure one, but the thing is, since large number of people use Windows, that security is not up to what you get in Linux. That is why Linux is used in most of institutions, the different organizations. All these people prefer Linux over Windows as well as Mac. And Linux is more reliable one. Linux is more reliable one, and usually uh, the administrations, those administrations who go for open source, they prefer Linux over Windows. And the main difference between Mac, Windows and Linux, there is no virus in Mac because you can install Mac only on Apple devices. There are many types of viruses in Windows because of large amount of market share that Windows hold. Linux, there are less amount of viruses in Linux as compared to Windows because Linux is an open source operating system. And mostly the government admin side, they use this Linux operating system for their PCs. Mac, Apple devices are too much expensive, Windows less expensive, Linux software that is totally free. And Mac, many of softwares are not compatible with Mac operating system because I told you the softwares, they keep in mind Windows, and anyone can install any type of software in Windows. Game into Windows PC is compatible for all types of softwares because they keep in mind Windows while creating new softwares. And Linux is also an open source software program, but it is not the softwares that you get, they are limited in. And Mac is too much reliable and smooth because it has no viruses. Windows is reliable, but due to viruses it gets stuck in between. And because Linux is not a complete operating system, you can modify it for your according to your usage. You can modify. That is the main advantage that Linux has over. No operating system is really better. The choice is up to you. If you are a gamer, then you have no choice. Go for Windows. If you like all these application software, games, whatever new things come, if you like such entertainments, then Windows is the best one. And programmers always prefer Linux. They always prefer Linux. That is why it is used in most of the countries. The government organizations use Linux. And video graphics and all, maybe they prefer Mac operating system over Linux and Windows.